Like Ruby, her mom is pretty. I'm that part O, Connecticut. I mean, shit, my address is out there, so you can figure it out. Rubes, let's get your treat. Welcome in, guys. Happy Monday. Hey, hey. Oh, I keep saying it's winter. I mean, you have to, you got to expect cold temperatures. But, you know, the past winters, from what I can remember, and I'm talking like the past, I don't know, like recent memory, like past 5 years, it's been, we would have like a cold snap for like maybe, I don't know, 3 days or so where it would be like, wind chill in the minuses, but it always bounced back to like the 30s. But I'm telling you, this FO where it would be like, bounce back to like the 30s. Telling you, this effing weather the past like 2.5 weeks has been absolutely hellacious. It has been, it started out, we got the snow. A couple weeks ago, we got about, I don't know, 18 inches of snow. And then it was really cold. About, I don't know, 18 inches of snow. And it was really cold. And then, it hasn't been like, it's bad. Let's put it this way. It's bad when it's like 30 degrees outside and it feels warm, and that's what we've had here. It's pretty shitty. So I am definitely looking forward to spring. I mean, I'm trying to look at things as a glass half full rather than half empty. And what I have been looking at is the fact that, it's getting lighter in the morning earlier and it's staying lighter longer now. And every day that's going to, that's going to be extended, Good morning, T. So I'm looking at that. I'm really trying, but I'm telling you, this couple nights ago we were with wind chill. We were at -22, and it's I mean, in the big city before day. Right? Yeah, yeah. I'm down in that area. Yeah. I'm trying to be positive. I'm really looking forward to spring. I'm thinking about all the in that area. Positive. I'm really looking forward to all the things that I want to do outside. All the things that I want to do outside. And -22 is not a number. I know. I know. -22. I know it is not. And I mean, can you really feel the difference between like -2 and -20? I mean, it all sucks. I guess it's just the different levels of suck, you know? It all sucks. Yeah. Yeah. Spring better rear its beautiful head pretty soon. That's all I could say. But so yeah, it's been a while. Um I was looking back, and the last time I was live was about 12 days ago. I think it was like 12 days ago. It was it's been a while. I for the first week I was off, I didn't I didn't I didn't want to know anything about what was going on here. It's everything in my life is fine. I didn't have to, I didn't get off because of uh any one thing in particular. My family life is fine. Things are going well there. Nothing has changed there. Given the option, I know my wife would love me to be off TikTok forever, you know. But it wasn't one reason. Um, Back in 2009, when I had my mental health crisis, where I just totally crashed out. The reason why that happened was because there were a lot of things happening in my life at that point, and I was trying to happening go on and act as though everything was going fine. And when you do that, that's good temporarily. When you don't deal with things that are going on in real life, and at that point it was the school I was teaching at, they were going to close the school down. And when they do that in a district, teachers get bumped. And it's all based on seniority, how many years you've been there. And I was being moved to the high school from when I was doing elementary, which is why I originally went to the town that I was teaching at. I mean, that was my thing. I love doing elementary, the beginners and all that. So when they started talking about that closing, and it came out that I was going to be going to the high school, there was a high school teacher there that was really good. He was a nice guy. I really liked him. And a lot of the kids that were there were kids that I had started when they were little, but they didn't want their music teacher to go, which I totally understand. So, there was this big uproar in town that I was kind of in the middle of, that, based on on nothing I did. It was just the way that, the way that it works, when they have to shuffle staff. And that was kind of what lit the fuse in me to, really like emotionally crash. And that knocked me down for a while. I mean, it really did. And that's when I decided at that point, and I was in a position where I knew I needed to talk to somebody. I knew that, Jesus, I probably need to be on medication or whatever. And it went through the whole thing, Ruby. It went through the whole thing. They thought I had Lyme disease, so I had to get tested for Lyme disease because I was, tired all the time, and I was sleeping, and I was lethargic and all this stuff. So they did all the testing on that. It all came back negative, but they put me on the medication anyway. So then when that didn't happen, that didn't work. And it just became even more and more, difficult. And finally I said, let's look into depression. So, sure enough, I met with somebody, and, I started talking and got on the medication and all that. So, fast forward, I felt myself, recently kind of doing the same thing. There was a lot going on, and most of it was because of this app. You know, it does take a toll on you over time when people purposely put out misinformation on you. And the narrative just keeps getting pushed and pushed and pushed. I know what the facts are. I know what the truth is myself, but to feel like you have to defend yourself over and over again, and to pretend like you're doing great, it slowly eats away at you inside. And, with other things that have happened on this app in the past couple months, it got to a point where I wasn't enjoying it, you know? Um, well, lots of emotions going through. And I just took a look at it and I said, this isn't worth it. I'm going live, and I'm talking about people on this app and streaming people on this app that, in real life, I wouldn't even be near them at all. I would want nothing to do with these people. And I kind of had to look at that through that lens. And I had to think to myself, ooh, let me get over here. I'm trying to flip my camera. You got a scary look at me right there, folks. For real. Um, why am I wasting my time with these people when I don't even know them and I don't even care about them? Um, and why am I letting them get to me? Oh God, no, my hair looks terrible. So That was a big thing. That was a big thing with me. I don't want to be around people that, and I don't want to be talking about people where in real life we wouldn't even be in the same orbit. I do, Diva, and I do appreciate it so much. I do. So, that was a realization I came to. Yes, they did. D governor. Yes, definitely. The medication definitely helped when I went on it. And more importantly, just being able to talk to somebody back then that, had no horse in the race, talking to somebody biased like a therapist and being able to get out, what's inside you without being judged. It's a lot different than talking to like your spouse or something like that because you're more open with somebody that is a professional and is trying to help you. So definitely. And that's why I always say if anybody feels the need to talk to somebody, I highly recommend it. And I've talked about, talkiatry a lot and, they're doing I think they're doing a great job, changing my meds and all that, but that doesn't have anything to do with it. It was just, I'm coming up on 2 years of going live, and it was just I needed a change. I needed a change. I needed to change what I was doing. I needed to change what my focus was. And I think the biggest thing is I needed to learn how to not care about a lot of people anymore. That stuff that has bothered me. Um, I just can't, you know, I can't worry about that stuff anymore. And I also have to not be so vested in everything. I before I took the time off, I knew about everything going on with everybody. I knew everything, you know. I don't need to know everything. I don't want to know everything that's going on here. I mean, that first week not knowing anything and not hearing about anything, it was like a colonic. I mean, it was so nice. It was so nice to purge, everything out of me. My first reaction in the morning wasn't to go on TikTok, you know. My first reaction was not to go in Discord. My first reaction was to get up and have some coffee and, you know, do other things, look at the news, you know. Um, So that was fine. And then, kind of easing back in with Discord and, starting to look at messages on TikTok and, do that kind of stuff. It was nice to kind of ease back into it. But, I don't want to do that stuff anymore. I don't want to, I don't care. I don't care enough anymore to worry about what Florida man's doing. I don't care enough to know what the people that follow him are doing anymore. I don't care, you know? Um, I don't care. I just don't. It's not worth it. There's many more things in life and on this app that are more important to me than caring about people who I don't know and the crap that they're doing. Because again, if those people were people in my life that I met, I wouldn't like them just because of the way they are. So it's like, why waste my time with them, you know? That's okay, Robin. So it has been nice. It has been nice unplugging. I've, spent a lot of time doing stuff around the house. Um, I've been planning what I want to do in the spring, and it's been nice. I've been listening to a lot of music, which I used to do all the time. I mean, I had music on usually 24/7, and I hadn't been doing that. And to me, music is therapy. Um, listening to music that I grew up on, and kind of, grounding myself like that again. So it's been nice. There were a couple days where it was tough, I'm not gonna lie. And I am so very thankful that Farrell Tracy, one of my mods, has been somebody that I have been in contact with quite a bit. Um, and I'm very thankful for that. Because there were some tough moments. And I do thank all of you that had reached out and checked in on me. Very much appreciate that. And thank you very much, all of you. Moving forward, um, it's it's a tough line to follow here, because I started out with doing awareness. Um, and I'm not interested in that anymore. Doing awareness to me is like taking your head and smashing it against a brick wall. I mean, you could put out as much information as you want on somebody, and it's all factual, and people are still going to send in. Um, and it's frustrating. You feel like, why am I doing this if it's continuing? You um, it's just frustrating. So I'm not interested in that. With Mr. Phoenix, with Sean, I mean, he's done. His ass is grass. I mean, he's not getting any money anymore. Um, And I am proud to say that I was part of that, you know. Um, so I'm not even going to stream him anymore. It's just because that's what he wants. He misses the attention. I know he's not getting anybody in his lives. I know he's been trying different apps and he's just not getting the traction anymore. So pivot. No, we are going to be pivoting. Absolutely. Um, so Sean's done. He does miss the attention. He does. There's nothing more he would want than somebody streaming him, so then he has something to talk about and complain about. So he's not going to get that. I like when there's people watching him and we're in Discord and we're just, making our comments in there, which is perfect. So awareness, and then you know I'm just not that interested in like streaming like Snark or doing any of that stuff anymore. It's just yeah. If it has something directly to do with me, then yeah, I might. But just to, for me personally, just to stream somebody, I'm just not I'm kind of over that whole thing. I'll talk about, I'll discuss stuff on here, but I'm going to tell you this. One thing I learned during my whole hiatus when I really um, started thinking about everything is that it is important to it's important to think about that who you see on this app um, is the persona that they want to show. You know, we don't know what's going on in real life, and I think about some of the stuff that I've said while streaming people, and saying things that weren't nice. And as I started thinking about it, and thinking that I don't know what they're going through in real life. How can I judge somebody when I'm only seeing what they want to show? But I think that, I've always said I'm the same person online that I am offline. And I think that in all honesty, I should say, Farrell Tracy could attest to that because I've got nothing to hide. Hey, Jackie, how are you? I'm very upfront and honest about what I'm doing in life and who I am, and even when I'm having problems, because that's part of it. But I just don't see me doing that. I don't see me going on here as often as I used to. I see me, doing different things. Doing some fun things. Like when we did the theme songs a couple weeks back. That was fun. Everybody had a good time with that. I want to have some lives that are fun, and I want people to be able to get off of a live and say, you know what, that was a good time. So I'm going to be doing some of that. And like I said, like when things come up and my name is brought up for God knows what reason, and this happened yesterday, and I'm gonna play that, but um, I will, I will stream some stuff and just kind of be like, what the fuck, why? But other than that, it's I don't want to be so vested in this app where I'm losing sleep literally because I'm watching lives or it's not something I'm interested in. Jackie, can you request a box, Jackie, please? Or if you're in here, I'll thank you, Heather. If you're in here, I'll tap on you and invite you. Oh, thank you, Jeannie. Uh-oh, did Jackie leave already? Right. Not an emotional investment. That's the big thing. Right, Scotty. Yeah. Where's Jacqueline? Where's Jack Hay? I don't know. She's disappeared. Well, if I see her, I'll invite her up. So yesterday was the Super Bowl. That was the most boring Super Bowl I have ever seen in my life. Until like the fourth quarter. It was terrible. Congratulations to the Seahawks. I didn't want everybody automatically assumed I wanted the Patriots to win. I don't like the Patriots. I liked the Patriots when I was a kid, and to make a very long story very short, uh, Jesus, 25 years ago, maybe even more than that, the Patriots were looking to move out of Massachusetts. So the governor of Connecticut put a huge thing together for Kraft. Um, they were going to build a stadium for the Patriots outside of Hartford. State was going to cover it. All this stuff. Okay. Now it was 30 something years ago. So a lot of my friends, just out of college and their jobs and all that, um, they the Patriots were they weren't selling seats, but if you wanted to get season tickets, you had to send in X amount of $100, okay, to secure when the stadium was built that you had the opportunity to buy, a ticket, a season ticket. So all these people that I know, sent hundreds of dollars, to secure it. And then it comes out, long story short, that Kraft did it just because he used Connecticut as a bargaining tool to try to get Massachusetts to build a stadium. And so what happened was Kraft decided to stay in Massachusetts, and the money that a lot of people I know spent was non refundable. So Kraft pocketed all that money and pretty much popped a squat on the state of Connecticut and walked out. So ever since that time, I have not been a Patriots fan. I'm done with them. So anybody against Seattle or anybody against New England, I was all for New England losing. It's kind of like the way I feel about the Yankees. Any team that plays the Yankees, go them. So I was rooting for Seattle. I'm glad they won. I know, there was a lot of controversy over the halftime show. It's funny. I've been seeing all these posts from people on TikTok and coming up on my FYP about, the whole halftime show versus the Turning Point USA halftime show and this and that and the other thing. I've been, it's been ridiculous. The bottom line is this. I mean, we know why all that happened. Okay. We know why there was so much controversy about it. I see that the alternate halftime show got about 6 million views, I think. But just be aware that the regular halftime show had 135 million views. So I think that the world spoke, on what they felt like was important. I hear a lot of I heard a lot of complaints from people. A lot of people, oh, they're having a halftime show and he's singing in Spanish and nobody knows what the hell he's saying and how could you do that? Ridiculous. People don't want to go to a halftime show where they don't understand what the singer's singing. Guess what? Have y'all ever been to an opera? Have you ever seen the magic flute? Have you ever gone to an opera and it's in Italian, it's in German? Do people not go to an opera because they don't understand the words? No, you go for the music. You get an idea ahead of time of what the opera is about, and you get a basic storyline. You choose that, but you had no control over the halftime. Correct. You don't. The common American citizen doesn't have a control over the halftime show. We don't choose it, but that's not our job to do it. There's nothing that says that a halftime show has got to be in English. I mean, there have been musicians before that have sang in Spanish and nobody's complained about it, but it's now because all of his music is Spanish. I mean, remember, we're talking about this whole thing started because, from what I remember, the president didn't even realize that Puerto Rico was part of the United States. So it's like he set the precedent already saying that the performer wasn't American. I mean, so it's like, oh shit, he's screwed up. So now we're going to have to, keep pushing this narrative that he shouldn't be doing the show because he's not American. Damn, he is American. Well, okay, well then all of his music is in a foreign language. I watched the opening ceremonies. Andrea Bocelli sang. And yes, he's Italian and it's in Italy, but he sang in Italian. They had music too that was in English, and it just The line was drawn in the sand a long time ago as to why people didn't want Bad Bunny. Now, do I follow Bad Bunny? No. Did I know who he was before the halftime show? No, I did not. Did I watch it? Yeah. Did I know what he was saying? No. Did I like the music? Yes. Did the people at the halftime show look like they were having a good time? Yeah, they did. It looked like they liked the music. And for those people that didn't want to see it, they had the alternative, which I think is great. But just remember how it all got started. That's kind of important to understand that. Had nothing to do with the fact that he his music was in a different language. It was because false information went out that he was not an American citizen. And there's been other performers that have done the halftime show that were not American, like actually not American citizens, and nobody complained about it. So it's just bizarre. It is bizarre, the whole thing. But I thought that all in all, the game was boring. I liked the music during halftime, and now it's baseball season. So bring it on. So yesterday, when I was watching the game, I was popping into Discord every so often. And I somebody mentioned that that Truth was on. Now, let's remind everybody, I haven't been on here. Hey, listen, go Yankees. I've been to Yankee Stadium many times. It's a great stadium. Great stadium. My son is an avid Yankee fan. How that happened, I don't know, but that's okay. He is a Yankee fan. And I have and always will be a Red Sox fan, and it's a good thing. So, again, I haven't been, you're a Rays fan? No, that's good. That team always amazes me. It's like they could start out with nothing, like no big names, and then all of a sudden they can get to the playoffs. And they build these players up and they get to be really, really good. And then they sell them for millions of dollars. They do. They do, Heather. But then, like, all of a sudden, they'll have these diamonds in the rough, that all of a sudden become really good. But, I looked in Discord and somebody said Truth is on. And I'm like, and somebody said she's talking about you. And I'm like, why? I haven't been on here for, over a week and a half. I haven't said it, even when I was on. I haven't been talking about it. In passing, I might say something, but I haven't put any energy into it. Really, to me, the last time I focused on any of that was New Year's Eve. You know, I mean, you can't make this shit up. So, I batted around whether or not to play this. I did, but considering I was indirectly mentioned a number of times, I felt as though that I did want to play this. So if you missed it, you could listen to it. And I don't know, try to make it make sense because let me move this for a minute. Let me move this. I like when people make me memes because they make Ruby look so adorably little and like when she was a puppy, when she was like when people make me mean and like cute and playful and this and that. She's a couch potato. She is a couch potato. She's a couch potato. She is a. The only time, first of all, that picture would not even be. First of all, that picture would be realistic because her face would be in that plate of pasta. She would not be sitting there all cute. I would be like trying to save my fingers from accidentally getting bitten off. Her thinking they were like a sweet Italian sausage or something. A couple days ago, I couldn't find Ruby. I'm like, where the hell is that dog? I didn't know if she got out, maybe dug under the snow, whatever. I went upstairs. It was 3 o'clock in the afternoon. She was still asleep on my bed. She had been in that room sleeping from about 10 o'clock the night before, and it was 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Do the math, folks. Do the math. She was exhausted. Yeah, from what? Sleeping? Ay, ay, ay. Being adorable is hard work. Yeah, I guess so. I'm telling you, the hibernating thing, if it was possible for humans to hibernate, like if there was a pill you could take and it was legal and it was all safe, I would do it. I would take a hibernating pill from about the first week of January to like the end of March because nothing good happens between January and the end of March. Snowy, cold, then you get the rain, then you get the flooding, and then you get the freeze again. And it's terrible. How old is Ruby? She's going to be 6 years old in March. It is, Heather. Seasonal depression is shitty. Absolutely. Absolutely, it is. And it's real. It is real. Right, kitty? I know. I know. Let's go. Let me feed her before she becomes a crank. Ow. What else? Kitty? I know. You hungry? Yeah. I'll tell you, one of the things on TikTok that I've noticed that I'm not a big fan of is that since it's switched over, you get a warning after about 2 or 3 minutes that you have a background on and your camera's not live. You get a warning. You get a warning, ground on, and you're saying that, pretty much if you keep a background on too long, you're going to get a violation. Hello, Fiona. So let's go to the beautiful bean footage here. And, there's only a couple things I want to touch on, but, like I always say, let people talk. You guys listen. You decide what you think about it. I'm not going to tell you what to do. At all. Let's falling out with people.
So if you want to stay informed on what's really going on in the world of TikTok, then hit that
Okay.
subscribe button and join me on this wild ride. Let's expose the truth together. And reminder, don't send money to anyone on TikTok.
You know, I usually, when I have a falling out with people, my first move is to walk away. My whole life, you know, I'm the person that never throws the first punch. I always walk away because anything after that is self-defense, right? Anything after that, you're protecting yourself. And during my time of absence, hi, Miss Claudia, people, I don't even know if I would call them people, entities, demons, um, decided they were going to go and run their mouth, right? Now, people like to say, oh, I got big ball energy because I can run my mouth. Let me tell you what I learned. People who don't run their mouth are quite the opposite. People who run their mouth and think they have balls, right? I learned in a very busy room, the quiet one is the one that you should worry about. So I'm going to put a little PSA out there. Diagnosis amnesia. Make videos about me, mock my cancer. You can say I dox children. I'm going to defend myself, but I will clear something up. The same motherfucker in your comment section going, oof, was the same motherfucker who sat in a box and cheered me on. One of my biggest cheerleaders at the time.
And let me clarify that. I was the one who made the comment that said, oof. If you guys haven't seen the video that Diagnosis made was about her doxing a bunch of high school kids. She absolutely did that, and she will not say she didn't. Number one, I was not in her live when she did that. I was not in a box cheering her on when she did that. That's a flat out lie. Because the weekend that there was a situation with her son, that was when we had our original falling out. I had taken a step away from going in her lives. So don't say that I was okay with you doing it and I was cheering you on. I was not. And I have to say, I have never seen anybody make a video about her cancer. Play your video after Diagnosed, just so people can hear what it was. It was completely about the doxing and her selling freshies. So that's the first thing. I mean, she wants to refer to me as a demon. Okay, fine. That's fine. But I was not in there.
Named people who targeted my son for being gay. Who
It doesn't matter if Somebody is straight, somebody is gay, it doesn't matter. You put kids' names out there. You showed a list that had first and last names, right, 13? It doesn't matter the reasoning. Putting minors' kids out there is not okay.
$0.92 worth of damage to my kid's car because he's gay. To me, you're not an age, you are a name.
And there you go.
What you really need to be questioning is that person who said they were my friend at the time who commented, oof. You need to go ask why they took a screenshot of the names I was writing down. Since they're children, right?
I absolutely took a screenshot. Because I knew eventually that whole doxing thing would come up. Um, any of my mods, you can take care of that. In fact, I'll take care of it. I blocked him. What I find ironic about this, with what Truth just said, and let's go back and listen to how she said this, okay?
Need to be questioning is that person who said they were my friend at the time who commented, oof. You need to go ask why they took a screenshot of the names I was writing down.
So you need to be questioning me why I said oof. That's what needs to be questioned in this. Not the fact that you indeed did dox a bunch of teenagers' names. But you're questioning why I put that in there. I could have been worse. But I said oof. Now, what is really ironic to me, and I was thinking about this probably about a month and a half ago when she was live. She was talking about the whole thing with Florida Man and I going back and forth. And she made a comment about, when people post stuff about you and it gets you bothered and all that. And then you post something back and, it just keeps going back and forth. And she said that pretty much that I deserved it. Now, the stuff that I've put out on Florida Man has been the truth. I've called him out for lying. I've put truth out about him. And what he had done is put out a lot of lies. But she's comparing she's making a federal case out of me saying oof. At the same time, calling me out for defending myself against Florida Man and putting truth out about him. And that to me makes no sense. Oof. This is all based on oof. And again, I was not in her lives during this time. We were not on the best terms. I messaged her around this time saying that I was sorry to hear about what happened to her son. Because it is terrible. It was a terrible situation. And she told me what was going on behind the scenes with the police and all that, and I was all for that. But not once did I say, go girl, for the fact that she put the kids' names out there. And then let's not forget, she did put my son's name out there too, which is awesome.
Their children, right? In the state of Louisiana, you are tried as an adult at the age of 17 and older.
But that
when
doesn't.
you commit felonies like that.
You like that deflection right there? Like, it's okay that I put their names out there because they're 17 and they're tried as adults? I agree, Princess.
Felony here in Louisiana. Criminal damage to property was a felony due to it being $3,092. Incredible blockbuster deal starting at just one. You fuck with my kid, my gloves are off. If you passed by my kid and flipped them off at 2 years old, that little piggy would get broke.
Did you catch that one?
There are a lot of people out there with the names I was given by my son who was a target of a hate crime. I know what I'll do with that information moving forward, since nobody wanted to place that kid there doing that. They placed him there, just not doing it. When that motherfucker gets married, I'll dox his wife. When he has kids, I'll dox his kids. When they have kids, I'll dox them too. Because everybody is a product growing up. And I think the less people who have hate in their heart would be better for the universe. That's what I want to do, right? You want to know what else I learned on here? You say they're going to come pull up. They're going to do that. They're going to do this. Not a single motherfucker has done what they told me they're going to do. And that is what makes me different. Everybody who they're going to do something. Because when I say I'm going to do something, I actually do it.
Grandma
There's
Tracy,
plenty of people.
Grandma Tracy, what you just said, that's exactly what I told somebody. It's exactly what I told somebody.
Who can testify to that. I do exactly what I say I'm going to do. I learned that the best revenge is no revenge at all. If it's not worth my peace, it's not worth my presence, right? Make as many videos as you want to. Mock cancer because the bitch you're supporting that said, oof, she don't mind wishing it upon people, right?
This is unbelievable.
It's really funny how we come from different timelines of the universe, yet some of you motherfuckers are cut from the same cloth. It's very odd. Box because you have a problem with me. Box open. House unless you want an ass whipping.
I have a question. Who threatened to come to her house? The only person that I know that ever talked about going to her house was She Extra. And that was like 2.5 months ago. So where is this coming from? I don't understand. I don't get it. Hey, pork chop.
But I don't know about you. But I am. Unless you
Listen,
want to grab a box because you have a problem with me. Grab a box. My box is always open. I don't threaten to come to my motherfucking house unless you want an ass whipping. And just I need to look at and understand that's my home address. To look at